What if the most dangerous weapon in this war isn't new at all? 10 aging MiG-29s, not F-16, allegedly slipped past Russia's layered air defenses after TB2 decoys lit up the radar picture. Today we break down how low-observable skins, infrared suppression, and digital stealth suites turned legacy jets into a precision political message, ending with 2 missiles striking the Kremlin guest house and the Ruble diving 19% in 6 hours. How did a budget play force a strategic rethink from Washington to Beijing? Let's open the flight plan. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. So why would a cash-strapped Air Force double down on 1980s fulcrums instead of waiting for the headline jets? Because waiting had a body count and a calendar. Airframes were being chewed up by attrition, by sortie, while promised deliveries slid to the right. Training pipelines for new models stretched months and then quarters, with simulators, ground crews and munitions all tied to timelines Ukraine did not control. Meanwhile, an unexpected window opened. Poland handed over MiG-29s that Ukrainian pilots already knew how to fly. Those jets could start earning their keep the moment they were fueled, armed, and given a route. The numbers mattered. 23 MiG-29s from Poland and Slovakia didn't just add tails on a ramp, they restored squadron-level mass and gave planners a tool they could schedule today. Familiar cockpits cut conversion time to near zero. Existing stocks of spare parts, pylons, and compatible missiles meant the logistics train didn't need to be rebuilt from scratch. Every delay in the F-16Q multiplied the value of anything that could scramble now. In a war where the runway length is measured in hours, not months, readiness beats elegance. Of course, conventional wisdom said those jets were dead on arrival against the belts around Moscow. The defense was layered for a reason. Pantsir S-1 units guarded key nodes with rapid-fire guns and short-range missiles, optimized to swat low and slow threats. Book M, 3 batteries sat deeper, able to reach higher and farther, with radar cues that tracked intruders hugging the deck. Beyond that, the top tier watched for anything that leaked through, tightening the envelope and compressing reaction times to a sliver. Fly into that stack at the wrong moment, and you don't get a second try. So the calculus moved from hardware pride to political math. Transfers of old airframes carried a message from NATO capitals without crossing the line that newer platforms might. Donor states received compensation from EU and US funds, easing the hit on their own inventories. That money also greased the maintenance pipeline. Spare engines, line replaceable units, and depot kits arrived faster than any new build program could hope to match. Integration gained speed because crews were solving known problems on a known jet instead of learning a new aircraft while someone else set the rules. The operational theory matched the politics. You don't try to outgun a shield designed to absorb blows. You sequence your hits to force it to open. Decoys go first to pull emissions and deplete ready rounds. Legacy jets follow, not as bait, but as riders in the gaps, modified just enough to slide under the thresholds that trigger clean intercepts. The idea lived on timing, not on the magic of any single piece. In a hardened shelter, crews made it real. Ground techs rolled out kits that dulled radar returns and cooled hotspots around the exhaust. Panels went on like armor, but the goal was disappearance, not protection. Some of those airframes were older than the avionics specialists bolting on the new suites. They swapped shrouds, laid composite skins, recalibrated sensors, and rewired countermeasures to speak to digital threat libraries loaded that morning. Research and experience lined up behind the choice. When pilots, maintainers, and weapons are already in the system, legacy platforms amplify force faster. You skip months of conversion, you avoid the spares drought that comes with an unfamiliar jet, and you launch sorties that use munitions in existing stockpiles. That speed becomes strategy when the opponent sets the tempo with missiles and media clips. The plan took shape around a clock. TB2S would throw the first punch and force eyes to look the wrong way. MiG-29s would follow through while screens were busy. Standoff missiles would arrive last, timed to the gap, not the map. In the end, speed of integration and the political cover behind it turned old jets into the only jets that could fly this playbook right now. The hardware was ready. The opening they needed still had to be manufactured in the sky. How do slow drones help fast jets beat a system built to catch both? By turning radar into a to-do list and forcing operators to make choices under a clock. On the night of the broken sky, Phase 1 launched TB2s on staggered routes, each one broadcasting just enough to register as a problem. They weren't out to duel, they were out to fill screens. Terminals lit with tracks and velocity guesses. Operators reached for interceptors that cost more than a small factory, firing $1.2 to $3 million shots at drones priced in the low millions. The math stung with every launch, but the point wasn't dollars, it was attention. Russian doctrine expects saturation. Batteries drill to split salvos, rotate shooters, and and caged the sky with overlapping fire. The counters worked at first. TB2S dropped decoys, spoofed headings, and bled altitude to confuse angle rates. Each engagement forced an emitter to talk. Every radar mode change left a print: search, acquisition, track, brake. Crews rode the consoles hard. Fatigue crept in as the timeline stretched. Reload teams jogged rounds to launchers. Tactical displays flashed amber more often than green. Even when a TB2 burned, it paid in data by showing response timing, handoff patterns, and which sectors hesitated. Phase 2 rolled as the lights stayed on. Modified MiG-29s left hardened shelters with their new skins fitted tight. The low-observable coatings, infrared suppression around the exhaust, and digital stealth suites came from a 19-month covert program that aimed to cut their detectability by up to 87%. The package didn't turn them into ghosts. It gave them a smaller signature and a better chance to choose the fight. Avionics dialed for low altitude, threat libraries loaded, and emissions discipline set. They slid to ingress points without announcing themselves on the wrong bands. The pilots hedged the river line at treetop height, staying under 45 meters above ground. Ground clutter worked for them. Radar curvature stole precious seconds from defenders. Bridges, levees, and industrial stacks masked returns just long enough to cross each sector's seam. Air crews kept speed on the edge of transonic, but held formation wide to keep a single radar sweep from resolving them as a tight group. AWACS remained silent. This run trusted terrain and timing over chatter. Their weapons carried the next piece of the sequence. Long-range air-to-surface missiles left rails with offset aim points preloaded, telling guidance to avoid predictable arcs. Adaptive routes let them bend around hot emitter cones, riding the gaps the TB2s forced open. Mid-course updates stayed sparse to avoid painting targets with giveaways. Final seekers woke late. The window was seconds wide. Defenses fought back. The S-500 envelope reached out, and point defenses stitched the air where tracks hinted a path. 18 of 20 inbound missiles died in bursts that looked like success on any other night. Telemetry told a different story. 2 slipped through the net, aided by routing that exploited a cooldown cycle and a brief sector blank when a battery shifted modes. The impacts landed near the Kremlin guest house. Not a leveling blast, but a precise detonation that said the route worked. Comms traffic spiked. Airspace over the capital tightened as scramble flights ferried officials' families outward. Markets reacted before press offices framed a line. The ruble slid 19% in 6 hours, liquidity thinned, and bond desks yanked bids. If most missiles were intercepted, why did 2 impacts shake capitals? Because they touched the seat of power. Limited damage, maximum signal. The myth of perfect sanctuary cracked in prime time. Allies felt the pull and the push. Supporters worried about escalation, even as deterrence value spiked before elections. Markets read the message fast. Ruble off 19% in 6 hours, banks hoarding cash, spreads widening, phones lit up, NATO scheduled secure lines, Beijing ran quiet models on its own leadership districts, militaries took notes, legacy jets, tight sequencing, cheap decoys, real leverage without 5th-gen budgets, crews paid for it in risk. The lesson held: the next race is sequences, sensors, timing,